The TF2 Beta was a thing quite a few years ago. What it was essentially a testing ground for changes of weapons, classes, and even maps. This system was made to test possibly game-breaking stats in a controlled environment, to then have weapon stats that are deemed balanced implemented directly into TF2. The beta ran from late 2010 to mid 2013 for all premium players. It had some interesting changes to say the least. Weapons such as the escape plan, detonator, quick fix, and even the solemn vow got their start through the TF2 Beta, and many more weapons got changed numerous times through this. This right here was healthy for TF2 to continue making new weapons while keeping the old ones they had fun. While it was a mess in terms that it was a test of balance, it allowed for some creativity in stats and or weapon concepts, something that TF2 is amazing for to this day. Even though I personally was not around during this age, it really does seem like a great thing to have for TF2. Although bringing a TF2 Beta back into existence would actually make the TF team work even harder than they normally do, considering that the only real balance change we got this year is Blue Moon, back at the end of March. We've had a lot of time to come to our decision on stats, and even then things are still not perfect, but allowing beta testing to come back would get us one step closer to the most balanced TF2 we'll ever see. Some suggestions I would have would be the use of 6v6, 9v9, and 12v12 servers. That allows standard or casual TF2, competitive and Highlander TF2 to coexist. That would be a good way to test all of the fields and forms of casual and competitive play, and would maybe even help the Valve competitive scene grow a bit by including a sort of Highlander, as it is a decently played competitive game mode. Players would be allowed to play with these new suggested stats that could be changed on a weekly or monthly basis. These obviously would not actually affect standard TF2, unless they were implemented, of course. What would be nice to see is a voting system after X amount of time using a modified weapon with these pending stats. It would only pop up once you are dead as to not interrupt gameplay. With that, you can vote to keep the stats or vote to change once again. If so, what you'd actually want to be changed. The goal is to make as many weapons viable while also making each weapon that is currently deemed overpowered or unfair to become fair again. People could access this beta the same way as the original, through having premium. This will prevent free-to-play players, which may very much swing the testing in one direction or another. I'm not insulting free-to-play players, but usually the good players have at least bought one thing in TF2. Having somewhat experienced players and anyone who has chucked a dollar at Gabe will be able to test for the future of TF2. Instead of waiting months and months for a single update, it'd be really great to have these small testing phases for TF2 weapons, to then later get into the game as an actual change. Obviously, if there are new ones, they should be held off from open beta testing until a little while after their release. I think for the community, if Valve did this, TF2 would be in a greater shape. I understand that currently TF2 is in a decent state of balance. I just want to see more things get put out of the status of useless, or on the other end, crutch light. That's all I really gotta say about the TF2 beta. Thank you all for your birthday messages. It does mean a lot to me. If you're not in my Discord server, I do have one. There is a link in the description. Well, that's all. Bye.